Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight with our council meeting, and if everybody will rise, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance followed by the invocation given by Councilman Wood. Thank you. Actually, we have a public hearing before the council meeting, and Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll for that.
Councilman Gillespie? Here. Councilman Wood? Here. Councilman Argo?
Here.
Councilman Miller?
Here.
Councilman Reniger?
Here.
Councilman Bowles?
Here.
Councilman Fank?
Here.
The first item on our agenda for the public hearing is a resolution to grant a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license for Blue Iguana Incorporated, doing business as Blue Iguana. Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of resolution number 1? Yes, sir. If you come down and state your name and address for the record.
My name's Chris Zinn, 518 Jasmine Trail.
Good evening.
A couple points I'd like to make tonight. One, I'm not sure if the council's aware, this is being facilitated, the change in license is being facilitated directly by the state. The state is realigning some of their licenses and stuff, so this is not a choice of ours to change the license. We've been operating as of January 27th this year for 7 years as a restaurant. The second point I'd like to make is we are not going to change any structure in our business, hours, the way we operate, anything we do about our business. It's going to be strictly the same that we've been operating for the last 7 years. And that's really all I have, just the 2 points I mainly wanted to make. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Zinn? Councilman Gillespie?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Recently, I've had some reports come across my desk about some activities out in the parking lot and so forth, where the police had to be called and so forth. You said you're not planning on changing anything, but it sounds to me like you do need to be changing some of your plans. I've had numerous reports from several residents in that area where litter is a real problem in the parking lot afterwards. I mean,
I agree.
You staying with your plan about not changing anything?
No, I didn't mean as far as situations that arise that we need to handle. I meant as far as the business structure when it comes to the license. As far as us changing licenses, we're not going to change our business because we got a new license. The way we operate. You're correct. We do have some issues in the parking lot, and that's typically the issues we have. We don't have the issues inside the building. It's when we ask some individuals to leave, they leave, they decide to come back, and I don't have I don't want to sit here and tell you I have a sure fix. It will definitely be addressed. And we do call the police because we want it handled, and we want it handled properly. Like I said, I don't want to, tell you I have a master plan that's going to resolve all of it this week, but it is being addressed.
Okay, because I know one of the last times we had an application like this, it was a club and they came in with a real precise business plan. They had security and as far as I know, as long as they were around, they had zero complaints, inside or outside. But I really think you need to take a closer look at that because the safety, health, welfare of the citizens, and especially the residents of that area.
I totally agree.
First on your mind.
I would ask you to look at the period of time we've been open And we have added some issues, and I agree we need to address those. Period of time we've been open, I feel pretty proud on the lack of issues we've had over the 7 years. To be honest with you, with the clientele, the amount of clientele we have come through our doors, whether it be the bowling center or the lounge, I think, you know, I don't want to get on my soapbox. I think we do a pretty good job in controlling a lot of issues.
If you are going to be changing anything, how long do you think it might take you to come up with a surefire plan to get that implemented?
Probably a couple weeks. I was going to call Chief Wadsworth and ask to sit down with him and find out who's on the public safety. Is it a public safety commission?
Yes,
Council.
So in other words, if we were to happen to hold this, would that, so that wouldn't interfere with you anyway, would it?
We would hold the licensing.
Not withhold, but hold this, the change of
The state. This is the second time we're before you for this license. First time it was denied. This time the state has pushed us again to reapply. I would have to say if it's denied this time, we're going to probably have to seek legal counsel and go through the chains of, I guess, like BTS did. And that's not what we want to do. This license is not what we want. We've been operating for 7 years. Since, you know, January 27th will be 7 years. This is not something we went down and applied for.
Well, I do want to commend you for stepping forward, you know, trying to change things as far as going, you know, the no smoking and the bowling alley and everything. I do want to commend you on that, but I did write an email to Shelley, I believe it was, and I never did hear a response, but I did ask her some of these same questions, but I do think you need to be addressing that.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Thank you. Councilman Argo?
Mr. Zinn, are you the only establishment in that shopping center that serves alcohol?
No, I'm not.
Are you, as a tenant of that shopping center, are you responsible for the parking lot?
No, that shopping center is so unique. It's like a condominium complex. We own the building that we're in. The pub is owned by another gentleman. The Ding House side is owned by another gentleman. We're responsible, in essence, that's in front of our building.
I know that the parking lot, especially in the evening hours on the weekend, is a popular hangout for teenagers who just go and sit out in the parking lot to get together with their friends. I have had a conversation with Chief Wadsworth about either you or the shopping center owner erecting signs that says you can't loiter, that you can't just sit out there in the parking lot. Is that being looked into? Have you done that?
That's funny that you bring that up. 3 years ago, we had an issue with loitering in the parking lot, and I went out and we spent several $100s in getting the signs made, and the signs are up. There's signs everywhere that say no loitering. Prosecutors will be subject to charge, or I'm not sure the exact wording, and they have done no good. You know, the kids ignore them. Patrol officers come by and ask the kids to leave. You know, they come right back.
As the owner of the building, do you have the authority to call the police department and ask them to come and run people off?
Yes, we do.
I would encourage you to do that as often as you possibly can.
And we do. We do, and that's where there's calls to the parking lot. And sometimes those calls are maybe and I'm not trying to shine any light on any other business, but there might be a pub customer, there might be a Ding House customer. The Ding House have a liquor license too. I know there's not people in there drinking, heavily like some other places, but we get called the Bama Lanes parking lot. So anything that happens anywhere in the perimeter, it's considered Bama Lanes.
Yeah. Well, my last question would be to you. I know that you have the opportunity to move the bowling alley to non-smoking. Correct. How's that coming?
They're building the system right now.
Well,
we're excited as you are. We lost 3 regional tournaments 3 months ago because we were smoking. So trust me, we are. I talked to the HVAC company today, the engineer, and put a fire under me. I said, we got to have this. School's getting ready to be out for the holidays. Yeah. Be a perfect time.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Zinn, for coming. Just a couple of items. You mentioned that, first of all, if you didn't get the license, that you would have to seek legal counsel.
I'm not saying we would have to. I'm saying this is the second time the state has put pressure on us to apply. And each time it gets a little more, aggressive as far as, you got to get this done. You got to be in accordance with state law,
When you say the state has put pressure on you, the
Correct.
state has not applied for this license. You have, right?
Correct.
The state can only make a recommendation to you that you seek a certain type of license based on what you're doing in an establishment.
Accordance with the law, correct.
Based on what you're doing in your establishment, they will make a certain recommendation to you.
Correct.
What type of license do you have right now?
Restaurant.
Restaurant. So are you operating as a restaurant, or are you doing something different that would make the state want you to?
We serve food. I don't think you go in a typical restaurant, hear a live band, or you don't go in a typical restaurant that's open till past midnight. So, to be frank with you, I don't think we're operating truly as a restaurant. 7 years ago when we applied, we gave the state the plans, and they told us we needed a restaurant license. We applied for a restaurant license. We've been operating for 7 years as a restaurant.
This is a police report here that I'm public safety chair. And I respect what you're saying. All of these calls are not yours.
Okay.
But a good many of them are for activity that goes on at the Blue Iguana. You mentioned that you was not going to be doing anything different. I tend to disagree, because if you're operating as a restaurant, that means the majority of what you're supposed to be doing would be food related. Am I correct?
Not the way the law is written.
But a certain
The perception of a restaurant, yes, you would think a restaurant would serve majority food.
And if you got a lounge or license, that would change.
It would change the requirement on the food.
Absolutely.
It would not change the requirement on anything as far as hours, and it would also change the requirement of the age of anyone attending or coming into the business.
But actually, so the concentration would be on alcohol sales and band activity more so than food activity.
I disagree as far as just because you have a license on a piece of paper that says you have a lounge license versus a restaurant is not going to change our motive. We're going to operate like we've been operating, like I mentioned, for 7 years. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of confused on your point or your question.
My point is that having a lounge would increase activity, especially if someone's not eating food. Increase the type of activity that I'm looking at in these reports.
I don't think having a license that says lounge versus restaurant is going to increase your clientele to the drinking versus the people that come in and order wings with us and watch a football game. If you look, I've got the rules and regs and the way the licenses are read. If you look at the difference between a restaurant license and a lounge license, the difference is the age cutoff. You've got to maintain a minimum age of 19, and you have to. You do not have the food requirement as far as having a menu that has more than just burgers and hot dogs on it. That's how the law reads. You got to take me as my word, I guess, is telling you that we're not going to change. We're not going to get this license and start staying open till 5 o'clock in the morning and having crazy events. I'll be honest with you, the license is going to cause a lot of work for us, separate corporation, separate payroll, separate taxes from the state all the way up to the local in our business. So like I said, this is not what we want. We would assume to keep operating like we've been operating.
And I guess I'm kind of confused there, because you say this is not what you want, but yet you're applying for it, because the state cannot mandate that you come down and get this type of license. You can operate as a restaurant retail just like you established.
You're correct. They can revoke my license because I don't follow the guidelines of a restaurant. And in short words, that's what they're more or less telling us that we need to do. We need to get in accordance with state law.
But that will be upon you to follow the guidelines as your license is established.
As far as the restaurant,
Yes, sir.
I totally agree. We applied 7 years ago, gave them plans. The plans had the dance floor, plans had the DJ booth, plans had the stage, pool tables. Us not knowing what kind of license we needed to apply for, we were told a restaurant. We've been operating that way for 7 years. Now there's a new regime. Now the state is cracking down on establishments that are operating more as a lounge than a restaurant. And I can name 10 of them off the top of my head in the surrounding areas. You know,
That are operating as
a restaurant and they're truly a lounge.
so.
And the state they're going through and, you know, trying to, I guess, get the licenses that need to be corrected.
This is just a comment. So, I guess with that being said, if we got 10 restaurants out here operating that way, and this license happens to be granted, I guess everyone would need to be granted the same license.
If you're operating like I think we are operating, I think you need to be granted a lounge license. Like I told you from the start, I truly don't think we're operating as a restaurant. You know, I think we're operating as a lounge. I don't think we're operating as a restaurant. I think the state has a good position. Now, why they told us we needed a restaurant license 7 years ago and why they have let us operate for 7 years, that's beyond me.
Okay.
I don't understand it. That's why, you know, I think a year or so ago we applied. You guys denied. It got put to rest for a little while. Now they've come back and they're putting pressure on us again.
This is going to be my last statement. This really concerns me, especially with the last statement that you made that we got 10 or more restaurants. So I guess I need to address this to the administration that if we got these people that are operating, that are operating outside of their license, it would be incumbent upon me, first of all, to see that they operate based on the licenses that they have. I would be more probably inclined to look at granting a license to someone if they are doing what they're supposed to do up front.
When I say surrounding areas, I didn't mean just in Prattville, Montgomery.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any more questions for Mr. Zinn? Councilman Bowles?
Is there still a door between, it's been years, I apologize, I haven't, that's right. Been years.
Shame
established.
on you. Shame on you.
It's been years. Is there still a door between the bowling alley and the lounge?
Correct. That's where the smokers will go when we get the ventilation system put in to come off the bowling, from the bowling side to the lounge side to be able to have to smoke.
I know, and I'm going to be a little ignorant here, but I know Jose's, there's like a little separation room between the two. So if you're in the smoking, you walk out into a separate room and then walk back into the non-smoking. Are you going to have a system like that?
No, we're not. We actually, the council voted on a resolution, if I'm not mistaken, to just, if we accomplish negative pressure from one side to another, that.
So the technology's really caught up now.
Correct.
Great. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Zinn? Councilman Councilman Gillespie.
Thank you. Go back to the other restaurants you were talking about. You were referring to like Montgomery County, Elmore County?
Yes.
Or out in the county areas?
Montgomery's got several.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I meant, locally.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution number 1? Anyone wish to speak against resolution number 1? Mr. Carter, did you have your hand up?
Well, no, I just, there was something, Mr. Arnold said something that was kind of unclear, and I'd like to ask that.
Hang on 1 minute, okay? And Mr. Hall, if you'll come down, state your name and address.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Hope you listen to me with an open mind. I was on, had the chairman that Mr. Wood had for years. We worked hard to get the building out of here. We worked hard to get the Main Street restaurant back there. The Main Street, let me go back. I'm not for or against this. May I just speak for or just in general, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The Main Street restaurant got in some problems with some people that had working there. And some strong meetings we had with him, he closed it down for 30 days and came back with that Bud Moisture Bar. No problems there. Anytime you have a place that has Texas Hold'em poker, as you will, Texas tournaments, anytime that business can make money off those people there at that has been proven illegal by the ABC board. I don't know if they still doing it or not. My pet peeve is to quote Mr. Moore, former council member, I'm a small businessman. I have a very large booth at Members Flea Market out next to Big Lots and Babcock Furniture. On the mornings after Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, you better be careful when you drive your car out there. You're going to run over some beer bottles. There's a truck out there right now that has 2 flats because of beer bottles that were placed in front of his truck by on purpose or by accident. There's not enough lighting out there. I have, Mr. Fink, some of my constituents still call me now. They're complaining about the trash in that place, behind it, on the sides, and somebody needs to be out there and keep those people from drinking at night before they go in. What they do, they come out there and park.
Mr. Hall, I am going to need you to be a little more focused on this particular, the Blue Iguana.
I'm sorry. In front of the Blue Iguana, there are people that park out there, 4 to a car, 5 to a car. They get sat there and drink and get drunk, put their hamburgers out back, their bottles, and that was in the same shopping center now. I mean, if it's the Blue Iguana, if it's down in my end of it, it's still the same area, still the same shopping center. You know, people park in front of my place down there, get drunk, they go up there to the Blue Iguana or something pub. It's still the same area. With all due respect, Mr. Miller, it's the same area. And we need some more control of what goes on out there. We need more lighting, what goes on behind those stores up front, and what goes on in that parking lot. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hall? Councilman Wood?
Yes, Mr. Hall, thank you for coming and speaking. You mentioned you need more lighting out there in the parking lot. Who's responsible? Who would you think would be responsible for having lighting in a parking lot?
What I would say, Mr. Wood, is right in front of it, there is plenty of lights right in front of the stores, but back up toward the other stores up there, they need more lighting in the middle ways. Gillen Real Estate manages that, Jim Gillen. They own it from up north somewhere, but of course I want to say the parking lot is full of potholes so big you can hide a car in it, but that's not not tonight to talk about, but that's where it is. And I mentioned several times behind the shopping centers, it's atrocious is what goes on in some of those some shopping centers. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other questions for Councilman Hall? Thank you, Councilman Hall.
Thank you for no more questions.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, I'm going to ask you to get with Councilman Argo after the meeting to clarify your question. Okay, but that, since we're in the public hearing for these 2 particular resolutions. Thank you.
One final question. Mr. Zinn, do you have representation with you tonight?
No, we don't.
But you already have representation, if I'm not mistaken, based on what you said earlier.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against resolution number 1? Okay, we'll move to resolution number 2, to grant a lounge retail liquor Class 2 package store for Arrow Swami, owner of Eagle Holding LLC, doing business as Bama Package Store number 27. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this resolution? Mr. Swamy?
My name is Aro Swamy. Live at 110 Lake Haven Way in Prattville. And I guess this is just a simple package store that we're adding on to a convenience store. We have done this before in a couple other locations, in Millbrook and in Leaderhatchee. And it's just an off-premises package store where people just buy it and take it. There's no sitting to it or no on-premises consumption. It's just a buy-and-go type situation. So it's already in an area where liquor is served on premises too, right on Cobbs Ford Road, and this would actually benefit my business as far as our sales and stuff. And we don't have a actual liquor sales anywhere on Cobbs Ford Road, so it's just a facility for the people to buy on the way home or something.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Swamy? Councilman Fank?
Yeah, I just want to, as I understand your plan, you'll have a separate entrance,
right? The
separate
state
cash registers, all that. So it'll be one entrance going into the convenience store side, and you can't take merchandise from one to the other and all that kind of stuff. Correct?
It's a state requirement. We can't have a common entrance for both the places. The customers coming into the package store, they need to have a separate entrance, and if they have to go to the convenience store, they got to come out and then go into the
separate
convenience.
Cash registers.
Separate cash register, everything's separate.
Any other questions for Mr. Swamy?
Yes, Mr.
Councilman Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Swamy, for coming. Just a couple of questions. You applied for this type of license before, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the results?
It was actually at the location up on East Main Street, and the facility wasn't big enough to do that kind of concept because it needed 500 square feet of customer space for it, so it wasn't meeting the requirements.
Was that the only time you applied for a package store? Did you applied another time also?
Right. We did on Highway 14, and I really don't know what was the reason it got denied at that time.
It was denied also, right?
Right.
And you mentioned that you already got alcohol being sold.
Right. We did two locations. One is in Millbrook, 2840 Main Street, Millbrook, and one location in Leaderhatchee. It's a similar location like what we have on Cobbs Ford. It's right off of exit 151 in Leaderhatchee. That's in Lowndes County.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talk about alcohol. In your package store, Liberty, is that where you're talking about putting this adjacent to, you sell beer and wine only, right?
Yeah, we do.
And everyone else around there sell the same thing.
That's
Am I
right.
correct? I just want to make sure because you have legal representation also.
Right.
And it was stated that the location of this store is congruent with existing retail business operations currently selling alcohol beverages in the surrounding area. And just for the record, I have to disagree because there are no package stores.
Right, but they have on-premises liquor store license.
Yeah, but there are no package stores, so they can't be doing the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing, but there are no package stores. If package stores are in place, then something different is taking place. So they're not totally congruent with existing retail business operations.
Like I said, the on-premises liquor is actually where people get drunk and come out to the parking lot, and this is something they can just take and go home.
Well, I guess you can also take it and open it up and come out on a crowded Main Street and start drinking it, and also go out on the interstate, if you want to put it that way. So.
Well, it's how you take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Councilman Wood, since I was.
I'm sorry, sir. You're not recognized yet.
Yield to his legal counsel, sir, if he wants to speak on his behalf.
That's okay, until I'm recognized.
I'm finished with Mr. Swami.
Okay. Any other councilman with questions for Mr. Swami? Okay, sir, if you'll come and state your name and address.
Apologize. Mr. Miller and Councilman, my name is Steve Drinker, and I live at 9129 Green Chase Drive in Montgomery, Alabama, presently. I thought that I would address the council based on Mr. Wood's questions in my use of the word congruent, since my client didn't draft that letter, and I drafted it on behalf of his effort here to seek this license. The point was simply using the word congruent is that it's in general harmony with the retail area out there. There are, I don't know how many numbers of restaurant liquor licenses that operate. And as Mr. Swami pointed out, that is a type of establishment where people would sit and drink as much as they really wanted. I mean, the point is that he's not in a location where no alcohol is being sold. And so that was the point of that sentence in there. There are several package stores in Prattville in terms of the ABC board and, other, I think at least one other one, whatever. So just to clarify that, and if you got a question about my use of that word, and that's the only point of that, Mr. Wood.
I understand exactly, sir. I just wanted to make sure that you all understood that it's not congruent because there are no package stores. Without a doubt, there are no package stores out there. There are retail establishments that sell alcohol and food.
Well, that's the congruency. The part you point out is a difference, but I don't know if there's one that makes any difference.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Swami, how many other stores, package stores, do you own in the city? Not package stores, I mean convenience stores.
Right now, that's the only one that I'm operating in Prattville City. And I've had prior stores before. I've operated, 4 stores in the city limits before.
Shop or Stop number 19, 1679 East Main Street. Have you owned that?
That's one of that. There was one. There's 2 other locations on Corpsville that I was operating. Can't think of the addresses, but then there's one up here on 402 Washington Street, and then the one on Highway 14, the closed covered bridge Amico, which used to be which is a USA now, it's closed. So I operated about 5 stores in the past 8 years.
And you don't operate S&S Eagles LLC anymore?
I've leased out those 2 stores this year, the one in Millbrook and the one in Leadahachie. And the other store right next to Shoney's, which used to be a Petro, we used to operate that, and that's closed now.
But you're leasing some stores to some other individuals?
Right.
Okay. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Swami or Mr. Drinker? Okay. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience want to speak in favor of resolution number 2? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak against resolution number 2? Mr. Hall?
Thank you so much. I'll be brief with this. I am totally against this. I used to be setting a precedent for a liquor store on every corner. I've seen it happen before. We have now. We wish we'd had a moratorium on payday loan stores. So you see them everywhere. They are a right to have a license to do that, but they're everywhere. They're ugly. They're obnoxious. They're painted loud and everywhere. But if you do this, then you're going to have to open up for everybody, every convenience store, service station in the city of Prattville that wants to sell alcoholic beverages. We've got one package store here I know of. It's been here for a long, long time. But I just certainly would, I'm talking about the aesthetic view of the city of Prattville. We got too much stuff that takes away too many signs already. We should also have a moratorium on no more signs. And thank you so much, but I am strongly against this. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilman Hall? Councilman Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Hall, for getting up to speak again. And I know on the first item you did not speak for or against. Basically, if you open it up for a can of worms on a package store, you're pretty much opening up a can of worms on a lounge also. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against resolution number 2? Seeing none, I call the public hearing closed, and we will now turn to our regular City Council meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn the public hearing. Do I hear a second? Councilman Gillespie, do we vote on that? Do we vote on that? All right, all in favor of adjourning the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Chair votes aye, and the public hearing is closed. We'll now turn to our regular council meeting. We've already done the